It's November the 23rd, and I'm excited to have Laurie Harrod McNulty. She's an attorney, as everyone knows, from Logan-Thompson Law, and there's no telling where this discussion will go. Thanks for watching.
You would be disappointed. You can't steer it
You
the way
can't,
you want.
you get on. What is it they say? I heard a guy say something real profound one day. He said, production is the killer of authenticity. So the more you try to produce and make it look better, the more it doesn't look real.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in our job too, we could over prepare.
Can you really? You have to go in there and say, okay, if the judge asks this, or if the other side says that, I'm going to say this, and then they're going to say that.
Well, you can anticipate. I mean, I know if I've prepared a brief, a motion on something, and you've got case law and facts and things you need to deal with, I need to know and anticipate kind of what the judge is going to look for, right? I mean, Wednesday I had a case, and I knew the things that the chancellor was going to ask me. So in my mind, I was prepared to respond to that, but to an extent you can't. Sometimes you don't know what they're going to ask. I mean, you don't know what the other side's going to argue. But
Were you nervous the first time you had to do that?
I'm nervous still. If it's something, people are paying you money, and you don't want to. And we take it personal. Nobody wants to lose.
I was I went to the airport yesterday for Tom Rowland's birthday party.
I saw that.
And so I went upstairs, and somebody was talking to him, and I was sitting beside him, and of course I'm always joking with him. Somebody had given him some candy, so I picked it up and I said, Tom, I brought you a little gift. I gave him
the gift
something
he'd already
that somebody
had.
had already had.
Well.
And he said, hey, that's already been stolen once. I won't tell you who gave him that, but he was.
Prove it.
But the funny thing was the lady, the person that was talking to him, she evidently mistaken me for Dr. Winger. Dr. Winger,
Eston Winger.
Eston Winger, and so I said no. I said he's over there, and then I mistaken her for another lawyer, so we were all messed up, and it was really a funny moment. But anyway, after I got talking to her a minute, she mentioned that case laws change, and that now it's against the law, or now it's not against the law, and that even she has to keep up with that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you have ethically too. We have an obligation to make sure we know the current case law. And of course, I live in the civil world. I mean, I barely know where the Justice Center is.
Yeah.
I think that's their laws constantly are being modified. But with us, if a higher court makes a decision on an issue, we need to make sure we know that a case we might have used as a standard has been modified or changed. It happens. So we do have an obligation. And I do, we do continuing education, right? So many hours a year. And that's always there's a couple that I go to every year that are great updates. They're going to tell, in my area, my world, they're like, this is new case law, new statutes, or these bills are being discussed by the House or the Senate, so it's.
There's no way. Would be hard for an attorney to be practicing in all the fields. It'd be like a plumber being an electrician and a plumber and a carpenter and a heat and air guy. It's just not like. Now, years ago, carpenter did some of the wiring and put the roof on and poured the concrete, and now you just don't.
No.
It's too complex. I guess the law is the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I think years ago, especially in a small town, small town practice, you did do stuff across the board, right? I mean, there's lawyers here, they're deceased here, right? Their practices have been in town. They've done everything. These guys would be one or two guys in a practice, they would cover it all. Jim Logan's, he goes around the world in the area of law, but that just doesn't happen anymore. My dad was a lawyer in Athens, a judge in Athens, and there was a couple of them, and they had that traditional small town practice. They didn't do any criminal work per se, but maybe it helped somebody, but they did everything else.
Did you grow up as your daddy being the lawyer? What was his, David?
David Harrod.
David Harrod, yeah. 10th Judicial?
Yes, so we're in the 10th Judicial District, which is McMinn, Bradley, Polk, and Monroe.
He was like an attorney for 3 decades or something?
Yeah,
30 years?
yeah, he did. He practiced. He went to work when he graduated law school with Alan Carter. Little Alan, probably Athens Insurance.
I don't really know him, but I think, don't they own a hardware store too, or a lumber store?
But Alan Sr. was a partner of my dad's, and then Jeff Cunningham. Do you know Jeff?
Oh, I know Jeff.
I
well.
thought you knew Jeff
Yeah.
from the Athens Federal.
I've had him here.
Have you really?
Oh, so your dad was on the board with Jeff?
Or no, they were partners. Jeff was a lawyer with my dad. Yeah, so Dad.
Did they have the same outlook on life and things?
Absolutely, they were best friends. Dad was older than Jeff, but he's like a mentor to Jeff. But Jeff is and his mentor to me now. But
You could call Jeff right now, and he'd call you next week and follow up with you.
oh yeah, Jeff is great. He still is. He's very good to me. He's great to my family. He was best friends with my dad. And my dad was happy when he went on. He had the opportunity to go to Athens Federal out of private practice,
Yeah.
and he did amazing things for that bank.
Yeah, he
I mean,
did.
and look, they sold, but
They eventually got to Old.
now it's Old National.
Yeah,
Is what it is.
yeah. But
Yeah, he's doing good. But so when I went to law school, I worked with my dad for just a little bit, but he passed away. He had brain cancer, glioblastoma, and so he died when he was 56. He was young, and so he was actually the youngest circuit court judge in the state of Tennessee. He was 30 years old when he was elected. So like the position that Mike Sharp, Mike Jenny have, those seats, Dad held one of those jobs.
how old were you when he was born?
Or
how old? Yeah, I got that.
So I was born in 76. He was born in 51. So he was 25. Then he went on, he was 30 when he was elected.
Do you remember him running?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can remember
What
the
do you
night.
remember about it?
I just remember lots of, them having to go and.
Because at about 4, you start remembering stuff.
Yeah.
I've noticed people. So you were at that age where he's
Yeah.
trying to do something.
And my mom, they had to do the whole, the Republican
Sign,
show,
yeah,
right? You
yeah.
have to go and campaign.
Yeah.
But I remember election night, we had a babysitter, and I don't know why I remember, and that my parents didn't come home till super, super, early in the
Yeah.
morning, because they had been out all night watching the return. And so.
So that would have been in 80?
81, yeah. And then he served, his partner Alan got sick, and he left the bench and went back into practice. So
Well, it's funny how all that stuff, were they lifelong residents of Athens?
well, yeah, my dad was, my grandparents, he's from Athens. My grandfather had a grocery store. It was Harrod's grocery store. It's kind of like a Cook's.
Which area of Athens?
The grocery store, you know where the Arts Center is now in Athens, across from Tennessee Westland on White Street? That was my grandfather's grocery store.
Oh,
He
okay.
sold it to the Athens Area Arts Council. And so Dad was born and raised there. My mom came from Georgia in high school, and that's where they met in high school. So, and I was born there. And
That was close to where Tip, what was his name? Tip Smith. Didn't he live over there?
I don't know. I don't know. We lived in that downtown area of Athens, off Woodward Avenue, Ingleside Avenue area. And then we lived on the other, like the south side of the county when my
Did you
parents
ever go to
moved
Inglewood much?
Yes, a little bit. I mean, I had friends.
Yeah.
I went to McMinn County. Of course, McMinn Central's over there. But I did. I mean, I had friends from there. I was there a couple weeks ago and had a car accident trying to serve some papers on somebody. But yeah.
Would you run into somebody or they run into you?
I trying to back out of a scary driveway and hit a tree.
Somebody backed into my car the other day. I parked right behind them sideways and they backed into me. And a friend of mine, and so I told him we'd split it.
Did you? So it wasn't hit and run. They let you go back
No.
there.
It was, and it wasn't a run the route. But I've already got it fixed. It just took me 6 days. They painted the door and fixed the dent, everything. $760, and it's over.
Mine was not $760, but it's fixed. So
Inglewood, I don't get up there much, but that's a nice little community.
it is great. But I still, even though I've lived. I went to Knoxville for years and then I moved to Cleveland in 2013. But I still go, like the lady who does all alterations for me is in Inglewood.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Or my dentist is in Athens, my eye doctor, I still,
Yeah.
Once you connect with people like that, it's hard to.
Well, alterations persons are hard to find, isn't it?
It is.
It's just a
nobody.
lost art.
That's why I drive to Inglewood to do it, because I don't know anybody here.
Does it take them less than a week?
Oh, yeah, she turns it around. She's really good.
Well, that's a lost art, isn't it?
It is. It
I
is.
mean, just
Somebody
sewing
was
a
talking
button or put a pocket on or.
hemming.
Yeah.
And that's, my husband laughs. He's like, I might as well take stuff to the dry cleaners if I need a button sewed back on, because that is not a skill that I have.
Yeah, me either. It's a talent.
Yeah.
Well, why'd you come back to Cleveland still? Why would you?
Well, when Dad passed away, and so I had an opportunity. I went to work for a firm in Knoxville that I'd actually clerked with all through law school. A great firm, big. And they were in one of the BB&T bank building on Gay Street, big tower.
Wolf.
Wolf McLean. That's
McLean,
right.
yeah.
A fantastic group of lawyers. I loved my time with them. It was just hard. I was part of that time I had to commute from Athens. I was a single mom for a little bit of that, and it just wasn't the right fit for that time in my life. And so, I loved them, and I learned from some of the best lawyers in our region. I needed a different opportunity, and Jim Logan and Phil Jacobs. Phil was a friend of mine outside of the law world, and Jimmy was good friends with my dad, and they both knew I needed something else, and so they gave me an opportunity.
Worked out. How long have you been with them?
Since 13. I moved here in March of 13. Time is flying.
Well, in a way, that sounds like a long time, and in a way, it just seems like yesterday.
I know. I've been practicing law. It's 20 years in 26, which is nuts. I worked for a little while before I went to law school. I didn't go straight through from college to law school, so I hit my 20th year in 26, which is crazy.
You think your dad being a lawyer is what inspired you?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. He was the best at what we do. I don't come anywhere close to his talent and his ability, and he was the most respected. But yeah, and like him, I love the idea of problem solving and putting things together for people to avoid problems. That's just the way my brain works. I like the problem solving.
But you started to be more into wills and trust and
estate planning,
conservatorships, maybe.
And probate work. I really enjoy that. It's a hard time in people's lives, but I like administering estates.
But when you were going to law school, was that area of law even in your radar?
Not really. I didn't really consider the criminal aspect. I enjoyed learning about criminal procedure, and that was.
But what were you thinking? What area was you thinking?
I didn't really know.
But you had to have some inclination of.
I looked at my dad, who did defense work. Like he worked, defended, say, insurance work, or helped just general civil people or businesses, litigating, right?
Civil litigation.
Civil litigation. And I liked that. And the guys that I worked with at Wolf McLean, that was who I worked with. But then I kind of connected with a couple of guys who did estate planning and and conservatorships, probate administration, and I like it.
At Wolf?
Yeah, at Wolf. I did lots, and I learned from a partner there who, lots of landlord-tenant work, commercial and residential, and that's kind of something, I would call it my side hustle, but I love doing the landlord-tenant.
Well, if you're dealing with landlord-tenant in commercial, and it's big stuff, you're going to have to deal with wills and trusts because they're involved inevitably, aren't they?
Well, it is. And then it's
Or
all
should be.
contract law too. That's to an extent. But people who own commercial properties, they are being passed through estates.
Yeah.
And you're exactly in planning. How are we planning to transfer those or? So.
Well, it could get complicated if we say it laughingly, but what if one of us dies? But really and truly, it could be a problem.
Well, it is.
You could have an ex-wife or an ex-husband or
estranged
children,
business interests.
And then, does this child have an interest? We don't know.
Yeah, and that's why I have a job.
It can be it's like a Gordian knot.
It is, and that's when I said I wanted to solve problems. But to me, the thing about estate planning is how can we put pieces together now to eliminate a lot of those unknowns and to keep, to reduce the fussing or just to make things easier. And people, I think they're terrified of coming and sitting with me. I don't know if it's a mortality thing. What is it? But just spend a little bit of time and money with me now, and you're going to save tremendous expense and heartache for your family on the flip side.
I almost think that it's probably a problem for them even at that point. But before anybody's passed away, because you don't really, do you give it, which son or daughter do you left being in charge? Well, this one's more organized, but this one's smarter, or this one's smarter, but that one's would get it done.
Or they're around, they're local, or for whatever reason.
Yeah, they just
those
be
are
local.
Decisions. Yeah, but it's of course. Then the idea. Well, I'm not here to worry about it, so. But you gotta put those pieces.
That doesn't fly with me. Does you? That doesn't fly.
No, and people. Then you got people who take things so far. They think, well, I don't want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen, and to an extent, there's this adage, you can't control property from the grave, right? So the idea that you at some point you have to trust things to work the way you want them to, and your children to behave and to be respectful to each other.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
How did you really say, you know what, I think I'm going to start doing more? I guess Sheridan Randolph used to do a lot of that, right?
Yeah, and there's some other folks in town. There's not a whole lot of us that do estate planning.
Yeah, but how do you land there?
I don't know. I feel like I got exposed, and that was one of the good things about being in a big firm to start with, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're exposed to so many different things. And, maybe you kind of get pigeonholed with a partner who likes you, or you like, there's different reasons you get in your groove. But to me, I think the best way, it was a language that I liked to speak. The estate planning, the probate work, conservatorships, it was just a language I liked. It clicked for me.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it.
It just clicked. Yeah.
I understand this.
When I preach about my kids, like just do the math, do the math, do the math. At some point it's going to click. This world that I'm in made sense to me.
Yeah, you know, I heard a guy on TV one time they said, boy, you're really good at that. And he said, I hate it. And they said, well, why are you good at it? And he said, well, you have to hate something to be good at it. And that almost makes sense in a way of, like all this stuff, I almost can't stand it, but I do it.
And you're good at it.
Maybe you hate how things get so mixed up when someone passes away. Maybe it's because you hate it. That.
There are days that I do, you know, and one of my dear friends also does this work, and I hate this today. I hate this today. But, you know, there are people who need the help, and so I have to.
Maybe you want to fix it.
I love to fix. I love the problem
Maybe
solving.
that's it.
It is. And so but, you know, then people get in your way. Your clients get in your way.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, just do what I'm telling you. Trust the process. But people don't. You know, I think like Phil Jacobs in our office, he's amazing at what he does, the domestic relations world.
Oh, boy, that'd be a tough one, wouldn't it?
People can't get out of their way. The people cannot get out of their own way.
And they will end up mad at you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing.
Every day. And he's the best personality for it because he can take it. It hurts
My
my
wife
feelings.
really likes him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She really likes
She'll
him.
be running him.
She know him so well.
Yeah.
But no, he's great at what he does. The best personality for it.
Boy, that would be tough. That and divorce court to me. Divorce court would be miserable.
It is. It's hard.
But domestic that'd be like the first thing before the divorce.
Well, and the people, or you're dealing with custody stuff, or people fighting, modifications of a plan,
And you got wills, and you got trust. Conservatorship is something really not even, that can come later or not. So it's sort of different, right?
But I will say this. We should not have the number of conservatorships that we do if people would we know what a power of attorney is.
Yeah.
That's the document when you're alive.
Yeah.
And you're appointing somebody to step in your shoes.
Yeah.
If you can't do something, or you're designating, hey, child, go take care of this stuff for me.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, well, that's what a power of attorney does, right? It lets people handle your affairs if and when you can't do it. A conservatorship is a lawsuit that we file, number one, if there's no valid power of attorney in play. Or two, maybe you've got a kid who's abusing a power of attorney and another child or family member has to step in and
Or they're arguing.
take the reins. Yes. But, conservatorships, a lot of them probably could be avoided if more people would take the time to get a good power of attorney in place.
That's solving a problem after the fact.
It is, but you can avoid it
Yeah.
by paying just a little bit of, somebody, hey, do these POAs for me, and if you don't have them, then we'll spend thousands of dollars and have to sue your parent to get appointed as
I've got 3 or 4, maybe 5 friends that it seems like a lot of times men in their late 70s will start making no sense. Just some odd,
wacky
decisions, just some. I had one friend of mine said, Dee said, if I get to where I'm not making sense, let me know, because I don't want to mess nothing up. Well, by the time he got there, I couldn't make sense to him. Yeah. So he was already gone. He should have done it before.
Yeah.
Because now he's messed some stuff up, and I can't tell him because he's done gone.
Well, and
when do you know you're there?
Well, you don't. That's the issue.
Problem.
And
I may be there now.
People can make, and I tell clients this, they come, your parent or your whoever can, just because they're making decisions you don't like, it's maybe not the question, right? I mean, are they capable of,
Yeah, that's a different thing than
you're not competent.
Just giving somebody $50,000. That's what this guy did.
Yeah.
It made
There's
sense
a lot of people
to
we
him.
know around
To
here.
a crook.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad decision,
Yeah,
but then
but
there's
he's already there.
being taken advantage
Only-
of.
Nobody knows he's not making sense except me, you know?
Yeah, well,
So I have an insurance trust where I pay into an insurance policy.
like an irrevocable type
Yeah,
trust.
there's no money in it. I just make the premium. If
That
I
it'll be
die-
funded when you die.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it'll have some
Yeah.
money in it. And I've set out, they can't get it till they're past 30.
Mm-hmm.
I put in there, they can't even get it if there's a medical emergency.
Well,
Because that can be misconstrued.
or they're having maybe, behavioral issues
I
or,
didn't put that in there. They can have them if they want them.
which, there's a lot of trusts that have that language. They can hold money back.
Yeah.
If your kid goes off the rails, or it's a drug, or it's some
know,
other gambling addiction, or if there's there's ways to wrap it up. Well, with an irrevocable trust, what you're talking about, but
I've been thinking I probably ought to change that because things are different now
Mm-hmm.
than they were when I did it 15 years ago. It's because it has a will and an irrevocable insurance trust.
so those are separate documents. So you have a will. The
Yeah.
will is what you say. Everything I own goes here.
Yeah.
That life insurance trust, I guess that's
Yeah,
what it is. An
yeah.
ILET is sometimes is what it's
Yeah.
called. Those get funded with insurance monies.
Right,
And so that's a separate. It has nothing to do with your will.
right. Except you need both in place. That's
Absolutely,
the problem.
absolutely. Because everything else you own, you may not care if it goes into a trust or not. It just passes on directly to your heirs or whoever you want to have it. Sometimes a trust is good. Sometimes it's just you don't need.
Well,
it.
I need to redo that and I'm gonna bring it to you and say, hey, let's update this for my age now or something. But if somebody dies without a will or without a trust, now it's got to go to probate, right?
Nope. Probate. Having a will doesn't prevent probate. So
What is probate?
thank you for asking. So probate is how we get title changed to the assets. So you own a home, accounts, whatever it is, that's how we transfer these assets to the people we want to have it, whether it's under a will. Your beneficiaries is who that'd be called. So, I have a will that says everything goes here. All right? In order to get those assets transferred to the beneficiaries, probate is how we do it. That your administrator, your executor, same thing, personal representative, they have to have legal authority to sign a deed that conveys property or transfer the title to a bank account or an investment account.
Nobody else, the police aren't going to do it.
Well, you don't,
right?
it just doesn't, you don't snap your fingers and it's done. And so you have to have legal authority to transfer title to your assets. That's probate.
Okay, what if a guy dies, he has two sons, he's dead. He has no will.
So when you die without a will in Tennessee, we have a statute. The legislators created a statute. It's like a tree. It sets out who your heirs are. So it's the top. If you're married, you're just married. Everything goes to the spouse. If you're married and kids, it's split.
Split.
Yeah, so you have a spouse.
If you have
sometimes
three, it's three.
You have to share.
4 is 4.
Spouse will have to share with
So
kids.
if you have no will or nothing, then that's how it's done.
Yes.
If it goes if it goes to probate, that's who transfers the deed because the dead is already dead.
Okay,
He can't
yes.
transfer a deed.
But as an aside to that, in Tennessee, real property, like your home, your land, things like that, that vests immediately at death. So if I die without a will and I've got a husband and a child and I have a piece of property just in my name, the day I die, my husband and my child own my property.
But who says, here's the deed, take it down here to Missy and get it recorded? Who does that?
If there's a will, the executor does. If there's no will, we don't do new deeds because the people already own it.
And you're starting to screw things up.
Bingo.
Because now, where's the tax notice go?
Or, well, yes.
Right, that's
And
the
there's, it is
problem.
too, and you've got multiple people maybe that own property. You know, you got to share in expenses and income if it's rental.
Oh, yeah, you got the tenant just sitting there paying rent to nobody.
But it, you know, and two, keep in mind, we have things that we call probate assets and non-probate assets. And so one of the other things we do when we plan is try to eliminate as much as we can from having to go through that probate process. In other words, you know, like you and your wife own your home together, right? Or,
I guess.
I mean,
Yeah, maybe
So-
I'm just on it, I don't know.
but you know,
It would
if you,
divest to her.
the survivor wins.
Yeah.
You know, if you own property as husband and wife, or there's language in deeds. If my brother and I own a piece of property, there's language we can put in there that the survivor owns the property. And so that passes automatically without going through probate. Or if I have a beneficiary on my 401k or my life insurance, my bank account, those things pass automatically without having to get through that probate process. So particularly when we're talking to husbands and wives, the goal is to eliminate the need to go through probate. Everything should be jointly titled, number one, or if it's not, it can be payable on death to the surviving spouse. And then, you know, you don't need me when the first spouse dies. Then when they're both gone, that's when typically probate really look at that.
Maybe they should, it would be good to send it to probate anyway, just to make sure everything's cleaned up. Us
yes.
OCD people, that's how we do
Well,
it.
and you know, with your job, and how important it is to have clear title to real estate.
Oh, if it
right?
wasn't for Tammy at Cleveland Abstract, we'd all,
I know.
she knows that stuff.
Yeah, she's great. Tammy they're a great
She'd
business.
smell a problem.
And so, you know, probate is how we clear title,
Yeah.
right?
So there's a,
So you can sell property quickly.
well, this, just think about this. I bought a piece of property one time, it was cheap. Come to find out, there was a guy that, a relative might own part of it. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't get clear title because he might own part of it.
Without doing what we call the quiet title, like you file the lawsuits and you have to publish, and
Well,
that's an expensive,
Yeah,
yucky
and-
process.
and not guaranteed. Come to find out, he was in jail.
Yeah.
I had to go to jail and got him to sign
A
the
quitclaim deed? But, you know, and that's, so you mentioned trust a minute ago. People come to see me a lot, like, I need a trust. And of course, my question is why? You know, it used to be, you know, we needed to plan to try and eliminate estate taxes, right? Using a trust to carve off different levels of assets was a method to help avoid some of that tax payment. We don't have estate taxes or inheritance taxes in Tennessee. We haven't had them since 2016. So there's still federal estate taxes, but, you know, the exemption level per person is around $14 million.
So unless you
there's
have-
not many, and if you're married, you know, it's double, right? You get, the couple has a
So there's not many of those.
Absolutely not.
And who determines the value?
well, the IRS, I mean, you file a tax returns, right, that lists
Yeah.
values of assets, but,
Oh, so-
you know, people think, oh, I'm gonna avoid probate, I want to trust. And there are groups, there's a couple groups in town or, you know, around the area, you know, we'll help you avoid probate. Okay, well,
Well, let's start out with what you're saying is interesting. I believe I'm following you. A trust. What's the point in putting stuff in a trust if you don't have over $14 to $28 million? And you'd have to be 30 for it to even be a problem, because you can pay tax on some.
well, and so, you know, there's this, you know, of course, the internet is ripe with bad information or
Yeah.
information that doesn't apply to where we live.
Yeah.
You know, if I lived in Chicago, or if I lived in California, the Northeast,
Louisiana.
Nevada, yes, I am going to have a trust to avoid the probate process. I tell people that come to see me, it's terrible. It is cheap and easy to die in Tennessee.
Is Tennessee one of the few states or the only state? or
Without
there-
inheritance
or-
taxes,
Yeah.
there's a handful, but I mean, we're one, and so you don't, it's just, the probate process is simple. It is quick here. You know, it's a minimum of 4
Just go
months.
upstairs to the courthouse.
You got to have a
right?
lawyer to help
Yeah.
you do it. You know, the clerks are going to push
Yeah.
you back to a lawyer, but it's still not. It is not it's not an expense that, to me, it's almost the same expense for me to draft somebody's trust as it is for your children to pay for a probate.
So now with a trust, a lot of people, you hear these people that think they've got money. They say, "Well, I've got a trust," like they've
Done something big.
done something big, or they're worth them. I got an LLC from Delaware.
Yeah,
they're always
to protect me.
To protect me, yeah, like they've got
But
tons
you know
of
that-
money. But the only reason I did the insurance trust is if I went broke, they couldn't get that money because it's not mine.
It's an irrevocable trust.
In
And
other
that's-
words, it's not mine.
No, and so that's people come in and
I
like,
can't
oh,
even write the tax. I can't even write it off my taxes for making the payment. 'cause
No, it's gone.
I'm just paying it for them.
well, and it's a separate, that irrevocable trust is it's like a separate person.
So that's the irrevocable trust is a separate person.
Oh, yeah, and
Does
you're
it-
not in charge of it. I mean, once it's gone, it's gone. And
Yeah, I
people,
don't even know if I can change it. That's why I was.
people think I'm going to put my house in a trust so I can avoid that, if I have to go live in a nursing home, they can't take my house. Well, that's not true either. Just with a standard revocable trust, TennCare or Medicaid can still attach, a lien to your property. It doesn't protect. Or creditors, I mean, a revocable trust is not a separate being like an irrevocable trust is. But once you
All right,
transfer,
now say that
yeah.
again.
So you've got different kinds of trusts,
Yeah.
right? An irrevocable trust, a revocable living trust. You've heard people talk about
Yeah.
that. That's usually what people are talking about. But
An
there is,
irrevocable trust is not mine. A revocable is mine.
you still have
So
your
it's my-
hands in it and can touch it and move it
And that's
and
separate
take.
from the will.
So it doesn't protect you from government benefit type situation. It doesn't necessarily protect you from creditors or from a
A
marital asset.
revocable.
Right.
An
right.
irrevocable is not me.
Yeah, but you can't get back what you've transferred into that irrevocable.
That's right.
Say you decide, I want to sell my house. Well,
It's gone. You're
there's a lot of
just-
problems
You're just
there.
making the payment.
so but
Now, does an irrevocable trust file tax return?
are you filing returns on your,
I
but
don't
you
know.
don't, but if you don't have income that outweighs the,
Yeah,
you don't
there's
have
no-
income,
There's
but
no
there's no
income, I
assets, right,
guess.
yeah.
Maybe that's why I did that, because it doesn't have to, and that's a whole separate issue anyway.
Yeah, but yours isn't even funded until you die.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Boy, it's
I don't know, but you mentioned, the word, what you said a minute ago is how, about having a clear title to a piece of property. People think, well, I want a trust, so I don't have to probate. Well, that's true. And so if you transfer your house to a trust, just a revocable living trust.
Revocable trust.
So, Matthew and I transfer our house to Matthew and Laurie as the trustees of our revocable trust. Okay? When we die, it goes to the beneficiary of the trust. Well, say that beneficiary wants to sell the house within 12 months from the last date of death. They can't do it without going through probate because that's how we clear title.
You almost could call probate settlement.
There's a lot of people who call it probate settlement.
Settlement.
Yeah,
If they
of
just
your-
use
yeah,
that word,
yeah.
settlement.
Yeah.
Probate sounds too much like parole.
Well, and it carries, it's like a bad word. And I'll tell you, it's not a bad
Yeah.
word.
It's just a settlement.
Yeah.
Settlement. Closing. Like going to closing.
Just because the internet tells you it's bad doesn't mean it is. It's not here.
But so what would be the point in putting that property into a revocable trust? There's no point.
I mean, there are. I mean, if you want, I guess the idea you want this property to remain in a trust forever, or at least maybe to get it to another generation of people, maybe your grandchildren. Maybe you've got a lake property,
Yeah.
right? And you want the grandchildren to ultimately own that property, to skip your kids. That's a way to do that. Of course, the
'Cause you-
problem
'cause
is
you
you've got to
could-
put money in this trust to pay for it.
So you could will the revocable trust to Fred.
Or the beneficiaries of the trust would be say that everybody's a beneficiary, or maybe the children are their lifetime beneficiaries. They get to use it for their life, but ultimately, say it vests in the grandkids. But again, where's the cash going to come from that pays for the taxes and pays for the insurance and the maintenance and the upkeep?
But if you don't,
Who takes care of it?
if you don't get all that stuff sort of straightened out before you get too old to make sense, you could really leave your family with a problem.
Yes.
I mean, a real sad problem.
We got a lot of problems, probate, and that's, I know probate has a bad reputation because of those situations.
Yeah.
People hear, oh, my cousin, their stuff sat in probate for 3 years. Well, there was a reason.
It was going to sit somewhere for 3 years, right?
Yeah, there's litigation involved, or the state of the documents was a mess, and it's just there's reasons. But you're average every day. If you've got a good document in place, a simple, straightforward document, it shouldn't be a big deal. That's planning.
Well, that's all complicated.
It is. I mean, it's a lot of it's beyond me. I'm not a tax lawyer. And
that's another
Yeah.
thing. You have to have a tax lawyer, and I found that they don't know.
Well,
They're just
IRS
giving you
is so
kind
hard
of-
to deal with.
They're changing all the time
Absolutely.
anyway. They're just saying, if it were today, here's my opinion.
Well, and I tell people if it's an asset situation or you want to do some complex planning, there's a couple of people I would, these are who you need to talk to, and you involve your CPA.
What about these investors that go around getting 10, 15, 20 LLCs? They'll say, oh, we started an LLC, and the LLC's not had its charter updated, and it's behind there, and they got that. I had a motel in Georgia that I had an LLC on, and it had Georgia taxes and stuff. And before you could close it, they did some kind of a search
Like an audit or something on your...
for the whole world. Is there anything owed in the whole world on this LLC on this property before you can sell it? And there was like $58 to some state something that wasn't paid for 1 year that had to be cleared up. And it took forever it wasn't a matter of just taking them the money. They had to get the proof and everything. So while it's annoying, it's helpful too, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Just to keep everything straight.
Well, and that whole LLC issue, I don't do a whole lot of, corporate type planning stuff. Our friend Rob Norrid, Rob does lots of stuff like that. But I don't know, now Tennessee in the past, we've got that franchise and excise tax, right? And so when you hold that was created to tax income and things out of an LLC, right? So people are getting punished
for owning real estate
as an LLC, and
and what's the point?
well, and a lot of times people are like, I need an LLC. I'm like, if you're owning one piece of property, why would you not just secure a really good umbrella policy? If you're protected from the liability standpoint through your insurance company with an umbrella policy, right? And that's the same,
Well,
it's going to give you the same protection.
I was at the courthouse you remember Ben Moore, I'm sure you do. Well, I was probably 23 or 24 years old. And I went into the Register of Deeds office, and he was sitting there in the chair. And I said, Ben, you got any advice for a young guy? And he said, yeah, I do. I didn't miss a beat. And I said, what is it? He said, don't ever, 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 ever start an LLC.
Really?
Just get an insurance policy.
There you
And
go.
I never will forget that. He must have had that problem going on at that very minute for it to be on the top of his head. So ever since then, I just avoid it. I've got this, and the discussion is an LLC, but there's no excise franchise tax
Because you don't have
on it.
income coming in.
There's no
Yeah,
income.
right,
There's
right.
no.
But you pay your $300 a year to the state and file your annual return, and you're good.
I don't even know why I've done that. Really, I don't even know why.
Well, and
I think it was because I thought if I ever sold it, I'd have something to sell.
yeah,
I think that I could sell the LLC.
some substance. Yeah.
Yeah, something. Because what else is there?
But yeah, I mean, you're right. That's great advice, I think, too. Is just, I had a client that had several years ago, we did an LLC on storage buildings, storage units. And when the F&E tax came in, he started getting hammered.
Oh, Lord.
Hammered on taxes. And his CPA, we're like, we redid it because you can go backwards in an LLC now and do that, the OME, the owner, the obligated.
Oh, Lord.
And so you're essentially taking that liability back on, and it excuses the F&E. And so go get yourself an umbrella policy.
Just have a good insurance agent.
That knows, how to protect
I was
you.
reading Poor Richard's Almanac. It had some good sayings. You ever read it?
It's been a long
It
time.
says, don't ever change insurance agents or attorneys. Because they know everything
Your
going
business.
on. Yeah.
Well, that's good advice.
I think it said plumbers too. It was 3.
Although you and I both probably have a couple clients we'd like to say, hey, you're welcome to test the field out there.
How do you organize your day with all of these different? How many clients or things would you? I've got 5 buildings going. Do you have 20 in the works, or are they just there?
I have
are
no
clients?
idea. Yes, and
Because it can be anything or nothing.
well, I mean, my day is structured too around what courts I've got. That's all in the morning typically. But, I told you I do a lot of landlord-tenant work, and I travel around the area. So usually I'm 2 or 3 days a week I start in some court. Or if I'm in Chancery Court, where I do most of my work with probates and conservatorships. And so that's the big structure, right? But then I just fill the day with appointments.
It's hard to get back on
And
track.
it's like a
isn't
burning
it?
fire, trying to deal with phone calls and emails. And, that's a lot of people complain. That's the biggest complaint about lawyers, right? They don't respond. They don't. And then
They can't.
it's
They
hard.
just don't
It's hard.
have time.
It's hard.
Especially with text message today.
I don't give people my cell phone.
I get
I can't.
50 text messages yesterday, and 49 of them were about nothing.
Yeah. Or just people needing to,
And you can't respond.
not in substance.
Sometimes I get to where I just don't even respond because that's why they get the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. I'll read it tonight. Remember when you could go home and just watch TV for an hour, but now you got to go through and say, which email did I miss?
Well, and it is. And, that's, my husband fusses at me. I come home and he's like, stop talking about it. Do not answer your phone. Don't look at your phone. You can't help it. You can't help it. And so that inability to disconnect is why lawyers are, there's such close contact now, and it's the email and the cell phones.
Yeah, it's
it's
not like back in the day. Can you imagine?
Like my dad went home. He worked his rear end off, but then he went home and he may lay in bed and think about it, but he wasn't this.
Do you ever know John Brown? He was a lawyer in town. He had John Edgar Brown III. Oh, you missed out. He was very colorful.
I don't know him.
He was very colorful. But I can't imagine texting him of an afternoon. Well, you'd have to go through, I think his Judy or somebody was his, you went through the secretary if she was there and if she answered the phone. You didn't even ask them nothing.
But don't you
saw them on the street.
Don't you think people's expectations have changed in the past few years about immediate response or, the need to have a response within a certain time? Or I feel like there's not, even since I started doing this job, there's been a shift in expectation levels and satisfaction levels of the clients.
I'm 100%.
And your job is hard.
Oh yeah, I don't know what it is, but the questions a person will get now, 40 years ago, they would have been embarrassed to ask that question. It's like they already knew pretty much the answer. They were that smart. But it's almost like,
Well, I read this on the internet. I mean, well, Google told me this, or somebody told me this. And
yeah.
my Sunday school class told me this. I mean,
I attribute it to this, and I know nobody will believe me. But 40 years ago, you had a relative, 50 years ago, that was on a farm or had a farm, or your grandmother lived on a farm, or you went to the farm, or you stayed at the farm, and something. Mm-hmm. And you won't find many people that are around a farm a lot that will not get their own information pretty much before they ask you.
not anymore.
And they'll respect your time and the whole 9 yards.
And happy to pay you for it.
And happy to pay you. And they understand that wood rots and cows get out.
Yeah.
And
right.
But nowadays, I think that has something to do with it. It was more of a, I'll do it society.
I'll figure it out.
Rather than, who's responsible for this?
I don't know. My job, every year, I feel like it gets harder and harder and harder and harder. People create bigger problems. That's what I think. I'm like, that couldn't be a more complicated or messed up situation when somebody dies. I'm like, well, it's like, hold my beer. Here's another one.
Yeah, what's
it just gets more and more complicated, and I don't know why. People, maybe it's what you're saying. People make things so complicated.
Years ago, they'd be embarrassed to ask you. They would, I don't know, it's just different. It's just different. Might have went away with the suits. You know, maybe they quit wearing ties and stuff. Or
there's no...
embarrassment.
And there's no boundaries.
I'm going to say embarrassment.
But we've created some of that too, our willingness to say, hey, I'll get back to you in a day, or I'll get back to you tomorrow. Or just call me, text me, email me. I mean,
I'll say
you are too available.
Yeah, and they're going. I've got OCD. If they text me, I've got to answer something. I can't help it. I mean, I can't go to sleep.
I don't think that's nice. My kids tell me that's not a nice thing to say to people, though.
I've started using the thumbs up with sunglasses.
Yeah. That's really not a nice thing to do. That translates to a bad word, apparently.
I remember when you text somebody, that was rude.
Yeah.
That's how far I go back. It was rude. He just texted me. Now it's rude to call him.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not rude.
I don't want to
text.
answer the phone call.
But if you're building for a business guy, and the roofer doesn't show up, and you tell him, he's going to wonder why you're bothering him with those details. Take care of the roof.
Yeah, I don't care.
That's why I hired you.
Yeah.
You deal with it. I hired you and your discretion. That's it.
You tell me if the roof burns down, otherwise I don't care.
Yeah, and if it does,
we'll fix
just
it.
handle that too. But a homeowner now will start crying. Like, what are you going to do? Pull his toenails off?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if the next one's going to take longer to get there, then he'll be here in a day or two. He got strep throat just like everybody else.
You're right.
I mean, what are they supposed to do? Can't they get sick?
Or they're behind.
Or they're behind.
Life.
Or they, whatever. We don't ask. It's irrelevant. They're coming. They're. So I don't know.
How many times do you tell people to take a breath and just settle down? How many times a week do you say that?
I usually stay away from. I've learned to stay away from people that don't let me handle it. I'll handle it. Good or bad, yeah. I'll handle it. You end up, I think, after being in business a while, you end up with those customers.
No, I mean, ethically, we have really strict obligations to our clients. Once we take...
I've wondered that, because the reason I do that is I'll know somebody, a lawyer that's representing people, and I think, they're not paying him. Why are they representing them? I guess, is there some legal
It depends. I mean, it depends. You know, if you can't just abandon someone.
Because
no.
they're not paying you?
No, well, no. I mean, the rules, you know, you have to have good agreements in place. But if you're not being paid, you're not, you know, you have the ability to withdraw from a case. But there's a certain way you have to do it.
Oh.
But you can't just take
You
off
can't
on your
just say,
people.
oh, you hadn't made the payment last time.
And I mean, you know,
alone.
sometimes you have a situation and the client and the attorney figure out together, you know what, we just aren't jiving. Let me help you find somebody who's going to do a better job for you than I am. And that.
You know, every business is so complicated. If you could take the smallest, simplest business, it's probably got more headaches than we'd ever imagine.
It is. Everybody has, you know, everybody
You
has
think of
tough.
just a guy that mows yards. You know, he mows X amount of yards a year. Well, he's only going to be starting around in May.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to work till end of October at best. And it's going to rain 7 straight days. And then the sun's going to pop out for 2. And he's going to have 7 days of work that he's got to mow. And did he plan a cruise the last week in June to where he's going to be gone 3 days? But he's got clients calling saying, hey, we're having a birthday party for little George, and it's going to be 6 o'clock, and you haven't mowed my yard yet.
Yeah.
And you didn't blow off my leaves. You didn't trim the sidewalk. I make a real good customer, don't you?
Yes, I try. I try to be very patient with people because I live in a world where sometimes I don't get it.
You
and
just
so,
don't know.
Yeah.
What was it like growing up in Athens?
It was great. Athens was it's a great town. You know, lots of great professionals and families, and you know, my family was all from there, so you know, lots of, you know, when my dad passed, and of course, I was gone, my brothers were gone, and then you know, we just kind of slowly trickled out of there. My grandparents all passed, but so I'm not there anymore. I still have a couple of uncles and aunts there, but
Is it sad?
it is sad, you know. Well, I mean, I think we all do that, right? You know, you think
Sure.
your childhood is so idyllic. Hopefully it is. I mean, I know some people don't have that luck, but I did. I had a great childhood growing up. I had a great education, Athens City Schools, McMinn County High School. I mean, I loved my experience growing up there. It's a great community now.
Yeah.
I have lots of friends who moved back home and, you know, have professional jobs there. And, I mean, they do great things in that community.
You ever go to that coffee shop there on the square?
On the corner?
Yeah.
It was across from my dad's law firm.
Oh, is that
It
right?
was catty corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember when I was pregnant at the time, they had a sandwich there. that,
What
you know,
was it
that
called?
craving.
What was it called?
I can't even remember what the name. It's been 2 or 3 different things. But it,
Well, what it was, yeah, there may be something different, but you know, they give you a basket, right? Wasn't it a basket they gave you?
I don't remember. Because I'd always get it to go and go back across the street.
Oh.
You're talking about the one that's on the bank, like where the bank,
yeah.
the old bank was,
Yeah.
down from
It was
Don
like
Reed's
a
office.
early version of Subway or something
Yeah,
like that.
very good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, Athens downtown, it's a beautiful town.
Yeah, it is.
The county's beautiful, and there's amazing people there. Bradley County's great. I've loved getting involved in this.
Well, it's easier getting here than it is Knoxville. I've been working in Knoxville the last 2 months, and it's a nice drive, but that last 10 minutes.
Well, my mom she lives in Farragut. We live off North Shore. Great
Farragut,
area.
yeah.
And
Farragut's nice,
it's
huh?
congested.
Yeah.
But where they live, you know, she can do Westland and North Shore, just, you know, get around easy.
It's, Farragut's sort of wet. It's sort of Kingston Pike, right? Is that right?
Well, I mean, you know, it's you get off, it really kind of starts there at the Watt Road, and it goes
Yeah.
all the way almost now to Pellissippi, really.
Yeah, I've been on Walbrook Drive,
I don't know.
Bridgeport.
Yes. Bridgewater?
Bridgewater, yeah.
Yeah. I always lived like in that Bearden area, in the middle.
That's right off Interstate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's great. I mean, it's a great area.
I got turned around last week, and I ended up circling around there. It's really easy to get around when you figure out that there's 2 main roads and everything goes this way.
Yes. And you can avoid the interstate if you know how to do
I
it.
ate at that chili place.
Petros?
Petros, yeah. Boy, they've got good chili.
I know, it's good. They,
God, it's good.
They're in the football stadium and basketball arena.
Boy, it's good.
Yeah.
Why is
That's a great franchise. You need to do a franchise here in town.
Boy, if they did a franchise, and it's so
Because it's cheap.
simple, and it's so
cheap.
simple.
Cheap to make. So you should do you just do a drive-through. That's what you need to do.
You know, their drive-through was backed up just like Starbucks. They've got that Chili's. It tastes like my grandmother's.
And
chili.
they have that good the tea. It's like
Oh,
the
yeah,
orange
it's that,
tea.
Or is it peach?
I guess they do a peach now. It used to be the orange.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't
so
taste any of that high fructose corn syrup. It tasted like real sugar.
Oh yeah, it's good.
You know,
I forgot about Petros. That's good.
It was good, man. I mean, and they've got the sizes. You get a real small one or one that's
Like a tub.
pretty big, yeah. But really, the tub's not big enough. You almost have to have. I ordered that, and I ate about half of it, and I thought this isn't going to do it. And I went back and got a small one and added.
It's like the 3 bears, the small, medium, and large.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
I've got salad wedges. I didn't eat that.
Oh, I didn't know. See, it's
Yeah.
totally changed since.
Yeah, salad wedges,
Yeah.
and but it's so simple.
Well, there's your new franchise opportunity.
I ate at Blaze Pizza.
It's
You ever
very
eat there?
good.
It's good.
Yeah,
isn't
it is good. It is.
I can't believe how fast they cook the pizza. By the
Oven.
time you go through and tell them what you want, and you sit down, wash your hands, get a Coke, sit down, they're bringing you that pizza that you just then ordered.
See all these opportunities you can do here. It's a franchise too, I think.
I don't want to be in any kind of business like that. I just, it's not my thing. I don't want to say thank you and come back.
God bless restaurant
I want
owners.
them
That's
to say,
so
we
hard.
need you, please do it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I think that's a gift.
You ever have to work on Saturdays or Sundays to catch up?
I do. I worked before I came here.
So you were at the
Something
office?
I need, no, my laptop at home. Like we have, like a VPN network I can
See,
log
I
in.
can't use that VPN.
How come?
I have to be in my zone.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know,
I don't do
the
if it's
table
necessary.
the table height, I just have to be at my desk. I can check emails or text messages, but I can't do anything serious without being in my cockpit, sort of thing.
It is. I mean, I think that's a mental thing too for me.
Sure.
I mean, I'm so distracted. I mean, my dogs don't like when I sit there and work. They're staring at me. Or I'm like, oh, I can go do a load of laundry. I could never work at home.
Oh, I couldn't either.
My
I'd go
sister-in-law
broke.
she works from home, and she's amazing. She completely clocks. She's zoned in. I've never seen anybody be able to do it like she can.
I went into this lady's
can't.
house about a month ago, and she showed me the room where she did that, and it was just like it had everything except a deadbolt on the door. I mean, there wasn't nothing in there except that was where but I couldn't do it at 2 different places.
But she doesn't. I mean, she doesn't let herself go do the laundry or the dishwasher or the stuff. I can't. My
No, if
mind
you're
is,
home, you'd have to be. I got the cat out there. If it's got to drive me crazy. Well, I tell you what, if you get pets, you're committing to about 15 years of problems.
I love my dogs, but you're right. I mean, it just is hard. And my child has gone to college now, and I think I'm not free.
No, you're 3 times a day dealing with it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
bet
it's
you-
harder because she, can't help us take the dogs out now, but
Yeah, just those
we send them to
little things.
daycare.
If I was to be a college person, I'd say, hey, I'll come and watch your dog. You write down what you want me to do, and that's what I'll do.
God,
They wouldn't.
but people don't do it the way you know.
It would, if you wrote it down exact, and they said, I'll do this, and I'll check it off, they could make,
Oh, yeah.
And just say, I'm going to be reasonable. I'm going to be reasonable.
Just give me 30 minutes a day. And we live downtown. I'm like, gosh, I wish I knew a couple of Lee kids that I want to come in and walk.
I can always tell the ones that are doing that because they're ahead of the dog and the dog's back here.
I know.
They're dragging the dog, so you know.
In a hurry.
Yeah.
My dogs drag me. So
Well, you got two?
I do. I have a big
I'm
dog.
going to bet. I was going to say, I bet you have a big dog.
I do. And then I have a small, little fat old dog, Mutt. And then she's sweet. But then I have it's a Vizsla, which is he's a lot.
What do they like?
You know what a Weimaraner is? You know, the gray?
Yeah.
Okay, same body. They look just like that, but it's a rust color. They're cousins. So he's very energetic, requires a lot of exercise.
Do you like this tall?
No, he's not. He's probably to my hip.
Why'd you get that one?
I don't know. My husband has always wanted one. He's amazing. I love my dog probably more than anybody else. He's the sweetest dog. He's like a Velcro. He sticks on me everywhere I go. He's just constantly attached to me.
I got a dog at my house. If my wife goes to the bathroom, he'll go stand at the door.
I mean, he's everywhere with me, and he's offended if I am not locked in on him. If I hug my child, he cries.
This dog will go get one of my wife's shoes and take it to his bed with him.
Yep.
You can't compete with that.
No. That's
I can't compete with that.
Nobody can. Yeah, Ollie is. Yeah, he gets more attention probably than anybody else. But we take him to daycare 3 or 4 times a week because he has to have that absolute exercise, stimulation. Because I don't want to run 4 miles every day when I get home from work. I can't. I do it in the mornings if I do it, and so he gets to go play.
When's your birthday? What?
April 2nd.
So you're at what?
I'll be 50 on April.
What's your sign?
Aries.
Aries. So
Yeah.
you think big. You're thinking in multiples.
And I'm a uptight, very. What is it? The Ram. I mean, I follow my sign pretty well. I'm pretty uptight. I shouldn't say pretty. I am uptight, and I get way overwhelmed.
Well, Aries they solve their overwhelmness by plowing forward.
I mean, I do. I mean, I do. I tend to think too much, too big, and I do too much.
What I'm thinking, how in the future, people go and they say, oh, we're making funeral arrangements, pre-needs, all this stuff. But when it comes to passing away or making wills, they don't want to do it because I guess probably the real reason is they think lawyers are just too expensive, is my thinking. So do you think the future will make it, how can it be more widely available to everybody to be able to do that?
I don't know. I think we continue to have to press this message that it is far cheaper and efficient to plan before than for it to explode when you're gone. I mean, you're going to spend, $1,000, $1,500 now, or you want your kids spending $7,000 down the road because you didn't take the time to do it.
See, the average Joe, the average person like me would think that was $15,000.
No.
You're saying it's not like that.
I mean, it depends on the circumstance. But, we still live in a community where overall, I would think legal costs, most of the costs in a smaller community are more affordable than if you go to a bigger city.
Well, you get more, Walmart does more business than Stampers.
But I don't have time. You're like, do you have the time to do the work? So.
Well, that's when you start inching up, and start eliminating some people, I guess.
Yeah, and people, I think, people don't like sometimes they call and make an appointment. Well, you got to pay a, consultation fee, but I think, I can't go see my doctor for free, right? I mean, I can't go see my dentist. I can't just walk in and say, hey, let me just ask you a question, doctor.
No,
that's not the way it works.
No, for $100 or $200, they need to walk in with a list of questions they're going to have. Oh, I've noticed Logan-Thompson law, they're doing that line thing. Is that
I think that was, the idea of we're the leader in the jungle, right?
Yeah.
You can look at it in many different ways, but I think just that, you think a lion is, do you fear it? Do you respect it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not in charge of advertising. So, I'm like, don't put me in the commercials. My dad would die if he saw me on the back of a phone book. But.
What would your dad think about you now?
I hope he'd be proud. I think about that a lot. I wish he were here because he was so good at what he did, and he's such a calm, good guy. And that's one of the reasons I love being in this community in this judicial district, because I still, he's got so many friends that are still here and people that worked with him and that loved him. And so that's one of the best parts of my job, is this is like I get to touch him, I get to hear people still tell me, I loved your dad, I loved your dad, I loved your dad. And so that's why I'm here. And I think if he were here, I'd be with him. Right? I'd be working with him.
I believe I remember being in high school when he was running. And because that was 82, I'd have been about 17 or something like that. So
he ran, and I can't remember who was. Maybe it was Randy Ayers that was on the other side of that. But he was elected, and then Steve Bebb filled the other seat. So they were elected at the same time. This is when Steve Bebb was a judge, criminal court judge. Because I remember they went to judicial college together.
Didn't Jimmy Logan run against him at the same time? No. I'm thinking Estes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of
for the district attorney's job.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was before when Bebb was a judge.
So what all attorneys do you have there? You got Rob Nord, a good friend of mine.
Yes.
And
Who's
Bill Jacobs.
Fantastic business. He's just,
Rob.
And he's so good. He's so smart.
Rob is very good in court, in my opinion.
Smart guy, and he thinks outside the box.
Way outside.
Yeah. You deal with him a lot, but he really is. He's good at what he does. So of course, Rob Nord, Robert Thompson, Matt Coleman, and then Phil Jacobs, me, Kenneth Miller, Tim Hewitt. Who am I missing?
Jimmy Logan, the main guy, the main one.
The man, the patriarch, the man.
We weren't going to forget him.
No. So Mr. Logan, and then we have a couple of newer guys who work. Have you met Ira that works with Robert? Well, great guy. And then Chandler McNabb, he's worked with us for a couple of years. He's actually leaving to go to work for the bankruptcy court in Georgia. We're one of the best researchers and writers. But, we have somebody that does everything. Any issue you've got.
I love Jimmy.
Yep.
I love Jimmy Logan.
And, it's people, that's the reason people come in the door because they want to see Jimmy. And, he's kind of slowed down some. And, but, he still brings the traffic through the door.
He called me last week about something, and he said, I'm coming back from Polk County, and I'm heading over to Ooltewah, and then I've got an appointment in Chattanooga.
He doesn't stop.
I thought, boy, he's busy.
Yep.
And then I remember one time I had a problem, and everybody kind of knew it, but and he was the only person in all of Cleveland. He said, Dee, let me know if I can help you. And he meant it.
Oh,
He
yeah.
really meant it.
Yeah.
He meant it. I never will forget that.
He's helped a lot of people get out of a lot
Well, I mean, why did he
just
even have it on his mind? You know, just even having it on his mind. That was something.
I know. Well, you know, I heard somebody told a story last week, and they gotten in trouble, and they went to meet with Jimmy and Ken. It was a criminal issue, and you know, just listening to them talk about when they walked in, and, you know, they're sitting there, and they're like, you know, this is the best thing that could have happened to you. You know, you think, no way, this is the worst day of my life. Mm-hmm. But in this, you know, the way they were able to say, hey, this is going to change your life for the better. And they helped him.
I was doing that expert witness thing for him one time. And next thing you know, me and Jimmy and the other side were eating a salad. Mm-hmm. It was being worked out right there at the restaurant.
And that's the way a lot of times it happens.
I don't know how he got that taken care of.
It's relationships, you know, and I don't know if it's such a big deal to have relationships now in my job. I feel like it is. That's how I was raised, right? My dad.
Yeah.
And so you know, that's important to me, to try to be kind and good to everybody. And I know I'm probably not always, but, you know, we work in part, I think we're able to resolve problems with relationships. Mm-hmm. And you know, clients should want their lawyers to be friends, you know, good to people, because that's how we get things. It's more efficient, for sure.
Relationships are the currency of life.
Amen. And that's something that, you know, I'm good at some days and I'm not good at some days.
If anybody needs a will or a trust or a conservatorship, how they get a hold of you?
Well, we're downtown, the same old office we've been at across from the courthouse, Logan-Thompson, in the phone book. And then, of course, now, like you said, the Lion, you see us on the billboards, on Facebook, and the internet. So,
you know, I was in there with Rob one day, and remember when his closet was, he had to, well, it was, I mean, would you call that a closet?
No, it's just, I don't know what it was.
It was a raised.
And he couldn't, that was a weird space.
He said, hang on a minute, let me get my file. And he got on his hands and knees.
All 6'4" of him.
6'4",
yeah. Yeah, no, you know, we've grown. We split. Robert and Matt had to go to the Andrew, you know, we've got a space at the Andrew Johnson building now, too, upstairs, because which is awesome. We've grown out of our downtown, but, you know, we're all the same folks still. It's just...
just two locations.
Yeah. So, but I'm downtown. So.
Well, anything else?
I don't have anything, unless you're going to draw me some designs for a new house. So.
Remember designs? Remember what they used to call when somebody had a thing for you, they'd say, he's got designs for you. Remember, it was an old term.
I've got designs on this job or on
this
this
old
man.
term.
I got a design on you. Yeah.
I heard that on Andy Griffith, that Mr. Darling. He said his daughter had designs for Andy.
Yeah.
Well, that's a funny show, isn't it?
I know. It was. My maternal grandfather loved it. Mm-hmm. Loved it.
I can you can start a sentence and I can finish it.
He loved it. So I watched it with him.
What else? Will you watch anything on TV now?
Not a lot on TV. I don't. I watch news at 6:30. I watch the Today Show, you know, when I'm getting ready in the morning. But otherwise, I'm Netflix or
Dancing with Stars. Anything?
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
I don't. I'm just, you know, we do a lot of like Netflix shows or
Landman or anything.
No, but everybody keeps saying we need to
Well,
watch
I
that.
need to, but I'm afraid to get stuck on something because I can't stop. I had to watch
You know, we're bad about rewatching the same thing over and over.
I am
Like we
too.
just started Peaky. Did you ever watch Peaky Blinders?
it. No.
It's
See, I don't
amazing.
have Netflix.
Okay, well, it's amazing, and so we just started that again instead of watching something new. But
I watch these true crime things. I'm hooked on them right now.
I am not a crime person.
You know, like 30 years later, they had the DNA and they found out it was the neighbor next door, and
Yeah.
he was. You know, you can't watch that stuff all the time. It will start to affect you.
Yeah, I know.
It will start to affect. I've been watching it at night for about. I can't go to sleep without the TV on. Mm-hmm. So I do the.
Well, you need to watch something relaxed,
Yeah.
not murder.
Yeah. Well, I watch. Sometimes I watch King of Queens.
You know
That's
what?
funny.
My favorite thing on TV. If I can't sleep, I watch. There's a guy named Rick Steves. Have you ever heard of him? He's a tour guide. He does a show.
Oh yeah.
And he is. I love him, and I will put that on. You know, watch some episode on some country and somewhere, and
Well,
that's
he was
I'm out.
sort of like after Bourdain, right?
Yeah,
Did you watch much Bourdain?
Yeah,
Well,
I loved his show.
Bourdain.
Yeah.
Boy, that was so good. I didn't watch it when it was out. I started
he was
watching
amazing.
it after he died.
Such a cool guy.
Oh, he was cool, man.
Yes, he-
Cool dude.
Yes. I love that painting of him at Inman Social, you know, on the wall. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Over there by
That's
the.
not original or nothing.
No.
like that.
But it's just a great print
Oh yeah.
because he's such a cool guy.
He was such a cool guy.
Yep.
What I get confused about is he's got no reservations,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's got parts unknown.
Yeah, his travel show. Yeah.
But you cannot. Have you ever tried to order them on Amazon?
No.
Oh, it's like $1,000. It's.
So it does. You can't just stream them anymore. You have to pay for
I
them.
don't think. Well, if you do, they're like $15 an
Yeah.
episode, and it gets confusing because which ones were in which. When I watch, I like to start at the beginning. Watch the
Yeah.
first one. But boy, he was so cool, wasn't he?
Yep. And he went to some different places. People, you know, places a lot
He
of
had
people.
a lot of issues, didn't he? Evidently.
Yeah. Some
You know, that really messed me up when he
died.
that he died, because I didn't even watch him when he was on. I don't know, some cook or something. That didn't do nothing for me. But after he died, I watched one. I thought, boy, that is good.
Mm-hmm.
But
He loved all kinds of people.
and adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
But just him killing himself does not go with
What you see.
what I was thinking. He was my hero.
Yeah,
You know, you can't have a hero that kills himself.
I know.
You know, he was wrong about everything. It messed me up. I'm gonna play like that he died of natural causes.
Yeah. Well, it is to an extent, I guess, but mental illness. So.
I guess so. You could look at that's the lawyer in you. You twisted it.
You got to.
Well, hey, listen, I appreciate you
Thank
coming.
you. It was so fun.
Hey,
Thank you.
I hope you didn't. Hope you enjoyed it.
I loved it. It was a great time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.